The group stage, seeding stage, and last chance qualifiers for Overwatch Champion Series Korea have all finished. 3 teams have exited competition, while 6 more will continue to battle it out. The next stage of competition is the playoffs, where we will find out which teams will be advancing to compete for the title of OWCS Asia Champion. Welcome to Tank Talk, where today we will be going over everything that has gone on so far and my predictions for the upcoming playoff tournament. The Korea region began with open qualifiers, in which 40 teams were able to battle for chances to compete. After 3 days of competition, we were left with just 9 teams. The Korean region is a powerhouse of talent where even the weakest team may outshine many of the best from other regions, so just making it this far was an impressive feat for all the teams involved. These 9 teams went on to compete in 4 group stage weeks, in which they all played 8 matches. The map differentials from these matches were then used to determine where the teams went next. The top 4 teams advanced to the seeding stage, the next 4 moved to fight it out in last chance qualifiers, and the 9th ranked team said goodbye as they were eliminated from the competition. Going in order of elimination, the first team we said goodbye to was Vesta Crew. They distinguished themselves by being the only team to make it past open qualifiers without any former Overwatch League players, but the rest of their season went very quickly downhill. They not only failed to secure a single victory throughout the competition, but also failed to win even a single map. Making it to the group stage was definitely an impressive accomplishment, but they will need to make some major changes if they want to be competitive in the future. The next 4 teams that had to compete in last chance qualifiers were Runaway, Pokerface, Sinpresa Gaming, and Genesis. This was a double elimination tournament where everything was on the line, as only 2 of these teams would be able to continue to playoffs. The first match was between Pokerface and SPG, and the second between Runaway and Genesis, and the results were upset victories for SPG and Genesis. All of a sudden, Pokerface and Runaway, the 2 teams most favored to make it to playoffs, were in the lower bracket, with one of them being on the verge of going home. Pokerface went on to win this elimination match, making Runaway, the highest rated team in the bracket, the second to be sent home. Runaway had a rough end to their season, ending with a 5-match loss streak, but it was still a big surprise to see a team with so many talented players be sent home so early. The next match was a winners bracket showdown between Genesis and SPG. Genesis took an early 2-0 lead, but SPG was able to rally to win 3 consecutive maps to win in a reverse sweep. This win guaranteed SPG a spot in the playoffs and sent Genesis to the lower bracket to face off against Pokerface. Here, Pokerface would yet again emerge triumphant, beating Genesis 3-1. With this loss, Genesis became the 3rd team to exit the tournament. They entered with a lot of question marks around their tank and support line, but surprisingly the biggest disappointment for the team came from their DPS. Choisewan struggled to put up the same level of performance that he had become known for in the Overwatch League, leaving Decay to have to solo carry almost every game they played. You have to feel bad for Decay. He's been on so many different teams and has always been a top tier DPS player, but has never achieved any real success. The final showdown was a rematch between Sinpresa Gaming and Pokerface. Both these teams had already guaranteed their spots in the playoffs, and when SPG went up 2-0, it seemed like they were going to win in yet another sweep. Pokerface had clearly learned from their loss, however, and would go on to win against SPG in a reverse sweep. These 2 teams will be advancing to playoffs and compete for a chance to earn the title of OWCS Asia Champion. The top 4 teams from the group stage, WAC, Team Falcons, FTG, and Yeti, had guaranteed positions in the playoffs, but would need to compete against each other to determine tournament seedings, with the top 2 teams being able to skip the first elimination round. The most impressive performance of this seeding stage came from Yeti when they won an upset victory over WAC, their first loss of the entire season. Despite this, WAC and Team Falcons were still able to secure the 1st and 2nd seeds respectively. Yeti in 3rd place was given the choice of first round opponents and chose Sinpresa Gaming, leaving FTG to compete against Pokerface. It's difficult to know exactly what to take away from these matches. Yeti beat WAC, but was defeated by Team Falcons and FTG, both of whom were defeated in turn by WAC. The first match of playoffs will be between Yeti and Sinpresa Gaming. Yeti looked great in their matches against the other top teams, but SPG were no slouches either. Aid and Argon on SPG have really leveled up as a DPS duo, and Tuyu has been looking great in the tank role. Unfortunately for them, Yeti's DPS, Knife and Viper, have been getting better and better throughout the season and are an almost unstoppable force. This combined with Irony performing like a top tier flex support and the team finally figuring out how to play around Donghack's hero limitations is too overwhelming. SPG has had a very impressive season, exceeding many people's expectations, but Yeti will win this 3-0, removing them from the competition. The next elimination match will be between Pokerface and FTG. Both teams showed some obvious weaknesses in their respective matches, and hopefully have spent the last week revising their respective game plans. Proud on Pokerface is looking like one of the best hitscan players in the tournament right now, and the rotation between Becky and Finale depending on the map ensures a scary fight no matter where you are. FTG, on the other hand, despite some of the stumbles they faced, should just be the stronger team across the board. Bernard is an excellent tank, Floor and Alpha Yi are firing on all cylinders, and there's no way that Violet is going to let his teams go out in the first match. Many of Pokerface's players should go on to have great careers going forward, but FTG will be eliminating them from the tournament with a 3-1 victory. If Yeti does indeed win their first match, then their next will be against WAC. Yeti did just win a confident 3-1 victory against them, but I have a feeling that it may have just been a lucky fluke. Yeti as a whole is a very aggressive team, but they are also incredibly organized and their players are almost always on the exact same page. When they're setting the pace of their fights, almost no one can stand up to them. Where Yeti faces trouble, however, is when they let other teams dictate how and where fights take place and they struggle to play reactively. WAC may have lost once, but they have what it takes to push Yeti out of their comfort zone. I also think that WAC will be eager to prove that their loss was a one-time thing, and will defeat Yeti 3-1, sending them to the lower bracket. The next match, assuming the previous predictions hold true, will be between FTG and Team Falcons. While Team Falcons have definitely been encountering some issues with their synergy and roster decisions, they are still an incredibly strong team with some great players. In addition to this, they have come out on top the last 2 times they faced off against FTG. While some of FTG's players have really leveled up throughout the season, this match will be no different to the previous ones, and Team Falcons will defeat FTG 3-1. The penultimate match will be a third place decider when FTG faces off against Yeti. It's important to note that despite only the top 3 teams getting a direct path to the OWCS Asia tournament, the 4th place team will still be able to compete for the wildcard entry by facing off against the 3rd place teams from Japan and APAC. While Yeti has achieved some incredible peaks, FTG has overall been a much more consistent team. I'm confident that we will be seeing Yeti again as the wildcard team, but FTG will win this match 3-2. The final match will be yet another showdown between the top 2 teams, WAC and Team Falcons. Barring their one loss, which I believe was just a fluke, WAC has been an unstoppable force this entire season. Team Falcons have looked somewhat disjointed in a lot of their matches, relying on individual performances to carry them, rather than organized team effort. This combined with the issues they've been facing deciding which tank to play on each map makes it hard to favor them. WAC will defeat them in a 3rd consecutive 3-1 victory. And those are all my predictions for the OWCS Korea playoffs. The 3 advancing teams will be WAC, Team Falcons, and FTG. Yeti as the 4th place team will be able to compete for entry as the wildcard team, something that they are more than capable of achieving. This tournament should offer a lot of exciting high-stakes matches where each team will need to be putting on their best performance. How do you think these matches are going to go, and which are you most excited for? This was Tank Talk, and thank you for watching.